All right. It is Monday, April 8th. Hold on.
Happy Eclipse Day.
Yeah, that was a scam.
Did you share this? What's going on? I can't find it.
I got it. We're good. Yeah.
Okay.
I had to retweet it. National Championship Monday, which has been entirely upstaged, I think, by the breaking news last night. It turns out that the coaching landscape in college basketball is a lot different than I thought it would be. I don't know. John Calipari leaving Kentucky for Arkansas, which I mean, I think a lot of people, especially Kentucky people, thought that it was time to move on. I think a lot of people on the outside thought the same thing.
Yeah.
But for it to happen like this is insane.
Yeah. It was really quick, it seemed like, I guess, once the word got out, but it's a surprise. Apparently he has wanted to leave since February though, and he wanted the Ohio State job at one time, according to some reports, which seems crazy to me too. But
I think that if you were him, would you feel wanted? I mean, the fan base was ready to be gone or done with it.
No, and I think that he's going to have as many things that he had at Kentucky at Arkansas without Kentucky fans. So
Arkansas fans are crazy too.
That's true.
So what I wonder is, last week was basically Barnhart, who's the AD at Kentucky, meeting with Calipari.
They had like an open interview, right?
So they had a private meeting, then they did a TV interview together, and then they did like a press conference. So the fact that he's leaving in conference too is like the Arkansas Kentucky game next year is going to be absurd.
Yeah.
And remember, the final time that John Calipari coached against his new school, which is still just so weird to say, Arkansas scored 100 at Kentucky in early March and lost. But so, I mean, he gave up 100 points to a pretty bad Arkansas team, and now he's taking over. It's going to look completely different in terms of what the Arkansas roster looks like next year. Who knows the number of recruits that he has in Kentucky right now that are going to end up following him to Arkansas.
There's a bunch of them already reopening and entering the portal, and it'll be, I guess, will he go to that? Will he go to, or is he going to go to the portal and find guys? You think he's going to change up what he's been doing at Kentucky?
I think he kind of did.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at, the two of the best players they've had in the last 4 years were Speedway, who's a portal guy, and Antonio Reeves. So
that's true.
Yeah. You still got Jaden Quaintance, who's a center number 8 on 247, still committed to Kentucky. I believe Carter Knox, who's number 20, reopened his recruitment. Billy Richmond, who's number 22, is still committed to Kentucky, but he hasn't signed. Boogie Fland, number 26, still committed to Kentucky. Don't be surprised if Indiana gets in the mix there if he reopens his recruitment. And there's a few others. I think they have a top 70 guy who is going to stay because he's wanted to play for just Travis Perry from Kentucky. So he's a 4-star point guard, which maybe he's the next Reed Shepherd. Who knows? But I mean, for the Arkansas part of this, it's like this all started because Infield left USC for SMU.
Yeah.
And SMU going to the ACC, another part of it. And then SMU losing to Indiana State in the NIT. A lot of moving parts, but
how do you think Musselman feels right now?
I don't know. I still think that he made the right decision for him, I think.
Yeah, I guess.
But I don't know. I mean, don't you think it's easier for first of all, the boosters at Arkansas have like unlimited money. So I wonder, like,
Right.
it's probably easier for them to shell it out for a guy like Calipari who has I mean, you look at the last 3 tournaments that Musselman was in, Sweet 16, 2 Elite Eights at Arkansas. I think the difference really is the recruiting, even though Musselman did a very good job at that. Do you remember they had 2 5-stars, one and done freshmen last year?
Yeah, last year, yeah.
3 actually. I think Jordan Walsh was a one and done. So 3 last year. And I don't know. I mean, for Arkansas, it's not like they drove Muss out.
Right.
He left, and so you want to, go big or go home. It didn't seem like there was a lot going on with the head coaching search there that was reported. Like there was really nothing, and then all of a sudden,
And it's just a bunch of guys saying that they weren't interested,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden it's Calipari.
they might have ended up with Bucky McMillan. Honestly, the Samford head coach that might have ended up being the guy. If they, yeah, which I might have been good, but if you have the chance to get Calipari, you got to do it. There's a lot being said about his coaching ability, which I think he's a much better recruiter and motivator than he is as a basketball coach. Maybe this reinvigorates some of that for him. Maybe he's extra motivated to prove that he can win at Arkansas, which he can. You can win a national championship with that program, especially with the amount of NIL money he's going to have and his ability to recruit as well.
Yeah, Arkansas is not short of any money, it sounds like. So
they got the Tyson
he's going to
chicken empire, and they got
nuggets.
The Walton family. Yeah, they got
and I don't know if it's true, but that thing on Twitter that the guy from Tyson went to SMU, USC, and Arkansas.
It can't be.
If that's true, this is just insanity. But yeah, I have a hard time believing that's true. I mean, it was on Twitter though.
Yeah, and you got to wonder, how many of the Kentucky players from this year's team that can or will play in college next year go to Arkansas.
Right.
Bradshaw's in the portal already. Dillingham's going to be in the NBA. Shepard's going to be in the NBA. But then you have guys like Edwards and Wagner, who were the 2 highest rated recruits for that team, who didn't have, elite freshman years. Who knows where their draft stock is at? Do those guys decide to stay in college and go to Arkansas? Who knows? I mean, the SEC is already a pretty insane conference in terms of things that happen during the season, and it's going to be even more insane now. And I honestly, if Calipari would have ended up at Ohio State, my God, the Big Ten coaching,
would have been crazy.
So now we look at Kentucky. What's Kentucky going to do? I think there's a short list of good names. I think Kentucky fans are already showing the annoying pickiness that comes with being a huge program.
Yeah.
In some of the things they're saying about certain coaches. But it's going to be interesting. My first instinct was Nate Oates. I have to say, I don't think that's going to happen.
Really?
Yeah, like at all. Like I don't think there's any chance.
Okay.
I don't think Kentucky, there's 2 guys that have enormous buyouts that's known that could be targets, quote unquote. One of them I don't think is going to be a target, but TJ Otzelberger has, I think, a $16 or $17 million buyout. Why would Kentucky do that? And Oates has an $18 million buyout. So I don't think it's a question of whether Kentucky has the money, because remember, if Calipari would have been fired, they would have had to pay him $30-something million. They don't have to pay him anything now.
Right.
So they got lucky there.
Money in their pocket.
I think Kentucky fans should thank Calipari for that. Of course, they probably would have rather seen him leave and go to like Ohio State and not go to Arkansas in the conference. But so basically it comes down to Kentucky. Do they want to spend almost $30 million for Nate Oates, which could be worth it? I mean, he's younger. Got to a Final Four at Alabama. Done a great job there. You give him more resources, stay in the same conference. I think it makes sense. I just don't think it's going to happen. The other one, the one that I think is the best option and would be incredible for the game is Billy Donovan. Like if Billy Donovan were to, like the Bulls are the definition of average. So it's not like he's leaving this great, like the Bulls management for years has been terrible ownership, horribly constructed roster. The rosters, the kids say the word mid a lot. That is what the Chicago Bulls are. So it's not like he's leaving the Lakers or the or one of these big time NBA organizations right now. So that's number one. Number two, he won 2 national championships in Florida. Number three, he is an incredible basketball coach. Like, I think from an X's and O's standpoint, it's a gigantic upgrade over Calipari. Number three, I don't think you have to worry a ton about recruiting at Kentucky. Like, I think a lot of it will recruit itself, but I don't think Donovan would be that. Like, I don't think the Jay Wright thing's going to happen either, but I think that's different reasons. But I don't think you go to Kentucky being worried about the new era of college basketball, because if you want to go in the portal and you want to get guys, you can do it. If you want to get 5-star freshmen and the best high school players in the country, you can do it. So I don't think that there's a ton of concern with that for a guy like Billy Donovan.
Yeah.
And I think that would be the home run of all home runs is Billy Donovan. Currently, I think the most likely is Scott Drew, Baylor. Which I've heard Kentucky fans are like, we don't want Scott Drew. I get it, I guess. I don't know. I think Billy Donovan would be incredible. But Scott Drew rebuilt Baylor, 20 years, probably the best rebuilding of a program anyone's ever done.
Yeah.
Louisville was all over him and couldn't get it done. He either has an extension on the table or signed an extension, but his buyout, I think, is under $10 million. He's a really good coach. I think he would do really well at Kentucky. I don't think that I know they won a national championship in 21. They were one of the best teams in 2020. The last few years in the tournament have been a bit concerning, but I think they had injury issues the year after they won the title. This year they had no Langston Love, and they just could not make free throws or do the right thing or make the right plays against Clemson. And then the year before they lost to Creighton, so there's not a ton of shame in that, but I think Scott Drew right now is who I would put money on. I think number 2 on that list would be another guy in conference, and that's Bruce Pearl. I think Bruce Pearl would be great in terms of if you want a guy who's going to give you, 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And he's been in the SEC. Kentucky's a lot easier job to win at. Kentucky's a lot easier place to win than Auburn. So that could make some sense. Other names, I mean, Dan Hurley's not happening. I'd be stunned. That would be stunning. I think I would be more stunned at Dan Hurley leaving UConn for Kentucky than I would at Jay Wright coming back. So you can cross that one off. I've seen some people say Matt Painter. That's the worst fit ever. So that's not happening.
I don't think Painter's going anywhere.
No, and if he was, it would not be Kentucky. What other names did I text? Chris Beard, doubt it. Maybe though. It depends on how it goes. Maybe Beard. Also, I've seen people say Will Wade. That's not happening either. Kelvin Sampson, doubt it. And Patino, come on. So I'd say it's probably going to come down to I would say it's going to come down to the 4 that everybody's mentioning. Honestly, Oates, Donovan, Pearl, and Drew. I think it's going to. I know that's been reported everywhere, but I agree. I think it's going to come down to that. So, and it's going to depend on financially what do they want to do. Like I said, it was Calipari's buyout was $33 million if they got rid of him. So they saved that, and they have money. I also saw a couple Kentucky fans say Tommy Lloyd. Kentucky fans would complain about Scott Drew, but they want Tommy Lloyd. Like what?
Yeah.
It's stupid. But here's an interesting question, which I don't know why Illini fans, you guys think a lot more of yourselves if you think Kentucky wants Brad Underwood. Come on, guys. Come on.
I don't think that he's talking about that. I think he's talking about what you were talking about last night.
I know, but I'm prefacing this.
I got you.
I've seen a lot of, Brad Underwood to Kentucky. Guys, come on.
I mean, realistically, like 6 guys have to say no before they get to Brad Underwood? Think more than that? Okay.
Maybe 10.
Okay.
Depending on who you want to say no.
That's true.
By the way, I saw that I retweeted that little scenario thing that said Brad Underwood to Baylor.
Yeah.
And then had Will Wade would be an awesome hire at Illinois. I'm just saying. I like
I
to think
wouldn't
about these
hate
things
it.
sometimes. That would be a great hire.
Why do you think Brad Underwood would go to Baylor? I guess is my
Yeah, I think there's a couple things. They just renovated. They just got that new arena. The program is really stable. They've recruited really well. Not to say that Illinois obviously recruited really well too, but Baylor, Baylor's had a bunch of highly rated recruits. I think the Big 12 is a conference that I think Brad wouldn't hate going back to. If you were going to leave for another job, I think a Big 12 job would be ideal.
yeah.
I'm not too concerned about it. I'm just saying I think Baylor would kind of full court press if they didn't go after Jerome Tang, which I assume they probably would, because he's an assistant there under Drew before going to K-State. But I would just say be a little concerned about Baylor pursuing Brad more than Brad like wanting to leave for Baylor.
I got you.
But he's not. I put the chance at under 1% that he goes to Kentucky or Kentucky's even interested in him. So you guys can flatter yourselves to the program all you want. That come on, please. And Illinois, 2 names if Brad leaves: Will Wade, Sean Miller. That's it. Those should be the 2 names. Don't give me this. Let's just hire. Let's give Chester a chance. Shut up. No. What dominoes have to fall for most likely Brad exit scenario? I think I kind of laid it out.
Yeah.
It would basically come down to Scott Drew to Kentucky, and then depending on what Baylor would do, I think it's Baylor. I think that's it. I don't really see. I mean, what other if Dan Hurley left UConn, which is not happening, UConn, who knows what UConn does? I don't think UConn would go that big for a next head coach. I don't think they would. I think they would be more likely to just say, "Hey, let's get Bobby Hurley in here than Brad Underwood." But yeah, I think Baylor's the only scenario. I don't know. Can you think of any other scenario like Arizona? I don't know.
I no clue.
Gonzaga?
I think Brad is
Brad would do great at Gonzaga, by the way.
Happy as hell to be at Illinois. So I don't see
so much so that he just lost a 4-star. Jace Butler's following Brad to Kentucky.
Yeah, he'll get a lot of playing time there.
Yeah. So basically, it comes down to this: Kentucky should hire Billy Donovan. They won't hire Nate Oates, and I think the most likely right now is Scott Drew. But that's going to change in like 2 days.
The only way that it just doesn't cause complete chaos is if Donovan decides to come, because
pretty much, yeah.
I mean, chaos ensues if they hire somebody.
If they hire Pearl, Oates, or Drew,
yeah,
it's gonna explode.
Will Wade still be coaching at McNeese next year if one of those guys leaves?
I don't think Will. I think it was Goodbloom, Jeff Goodbloom.
Yeah.
Goodbum or whatever his name is from Field 68. I heard him say something about the SEC commissioners. There's still issues with Will Wade in the SEC after the LSU thing. That's why he probably won't get an SEC job. That's why, he's the anti-Bruce Weber. We want a guy who can cheat. Let's get him to Illinois. Also, a good basketball coach. He won 30 games at McNeese.
Yeah.
What the hell? Yeah. So it's going to be as if this coaching cycle wasn't enough. I mean, we had Musselman leave for USC. Obviously, the Calipari to Arkansas thing, which I can't believe. Did I say that on the air or after we were on yesterday? I said people are saying this Calipari to Arkansas thing.
I'm pretty sure you said it during the podcast, but
yeah, I didn't think that. I did not think that was real.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of stunned still to think that was real.
I think you said it. I can't remember exactly, but I know you. I remember you saying it.
Yeah, I remember saying it. I just don't remember if we were on or not. I also know that I had a Kentucky fan friend text me last night and say Dan Hurley should be the guy. And then I said, hold your horses there, buddy. How about, can I interest you in Nate Oates possibly? And they were like, that'd be fine too. But And I also have a few Kentucky fan friends who are Bulls fans, so wonder what they think of Billy Donovan. Might have to ask around, but I think Billy Donovan would be awesome at Kentucky. I think. I don't care how long he's been away from college basketball. Fred Hoiberg came back, and Nebraska is a lot harder to get up off the ground than Kentucky because Kentucky's not on the ground. So, when was the last time? When did Billy Donovan leave? I wonder.
That'll be 10 years, right?
2015. 2015.
Not 10.
They made a Final Four in 14.
Okay.
And then weren't very good in 15. I mean, Billy Donovan I know it's a different game now, but from 05 to 14, they got to the second round, national championship, missed the tournament 2 years in a row, but won 24 and 25 games. First round, Elite Eight, Final Four. So he's not that far removed. That he's 10 years removed from making it to a Final Four and going undefeated in the SEC. But yeah, I think that would be a good hire. And by the way, they lost to UConn in that Final Four. So UConn just continues to, I mean, if UConn, let's transition to the national championship game and then maybe we'll circle back. I mean, we're going to spend more time.
We're 20 minutes in. We haven't even talked about the national championship.
There's a national championship.
We would have thought that
tonight,
was going to happen.
Especially like it's not UConn, San Diego State. It's UConn, Purdue. It's best team against the second best team. This would be 6 titles in 25 years for UConn if they get this done, which is, I mean, probably the most impressive run ever, just because I think if you look at the past, like Duke, obviously in the 90s and 2000s, like UCLA, it's just not – it's a different thing. It's a lot harder to win a title now than it was for John Wooden. No disrespect to John Wooden, but, I mean, did they even leave the state of California when John Wooden was at UCLA? I mean, come on. But you look at UConn, they won in 99. They won in 04. They won in 2011. They won in 2014, and they won last year. They've made the title game 6 times now. They're 5-0 in the previous 5, so we'll see if they get to 6-0 tonight. Since 1990 alone, they've made it to, I believe, 11 Elite Eights, something like that. 13 Elite Eights. So this would be number 6. I mean, that's nothing to sniff at, This is also, by the way, Dan Hurley's 6th year at UConn. It doesn't feel like it's been that long, but it is true. Initial thoughts. I mean, is the spread too high? All that stuff.
I think maybe a little bit, but I think that they probably had to put it a little high, just the way that UConn's been dominating teams, as Hurley will let you know.
God, you guys are all so soft.
How's that soft? I was just reiterating what he said.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like you take offense for Dan Hurley too much.
I'm a Hurley guy. We're boys. He doesn't know about me, but I'm a Shadows Hurley guy.
If you were a real Hurley guy, you'd talk down on the team so he could use it to get his team up. That's what he needs.
Yeah, sure, yeah. I picked against them in the national championship in my bracket. I picked Purdue, but I'm obviously changed that by now. Yeah, I mean, the thing for UConn with me is that their best player this season hasn't been their best player throughout the tournament. And I think this would be one of the more impressive back-to-back champions of all time, just because you look at what they lost from their lineup last year. They basically have, in the national championship game last year, they started Andre Jackson, Tristan Newton, Adama Sanogo, Jordan Hawkins, and Alex Caravan. So you pretty much had 3 guys, or 4 guys, I guess, technically, quote unquote, from last year's team that are big role guys on this year's team. It's Tristan Newton, it's Alex Caravan, it's Donovan Clingan, and Hassan Diarra didn't play in the national championship game last year. And he also only played a total of 31 minutes in the tournament. So he didn't play very much. I mean, they've completely turned around or turned the roster, reloaded is the word, because you get Cam Spencer in the transfer portal. You get Stephon Castle, who's a 5-star freshman who looked like a 5-star freshman in the game against Alabama and has for the entire tournament. Diarra is playing a bigger role. Samson Johnson has been just unreal. Like the athleticism. That guy played all garbage time. He played 8 minutes in the tournament last year. He played if you do the quick math, which is how it's so easy to do the math on his minutes because he just didn't play. He played 46 minutes total last season for UConn. So athlete is what I call him. And then obviously you bring in, Jalen Stewart's played some key minutes in parts, not much in the tournament, but he played 11 against Illinois. He played 15 against Stetson, and then played double-digit minutes in all their Big East tournament games. So they've turned the right. I mean, development is a big part of this program, and that's been on display. Like Alex Caravan does not play like a sophomore. He plays like a senior, and that's a reflection of a lot of this team. Clingan the same way. Castle to be able to knock down threes, even though teams let him shoot it because he's a 25% three-point shooter. He went 2 for 6 against Alabama, which isn't great, but
Ty Rodgers defense on him.
Yeah. The difference between him and Ty Rodgers is that he will shoot them. I mean, he only took 70. He's only taken 71 this year, but I mean, he goes into that game. In the previous tournament games, he was 1 for 8 from 3. So they were letting him shoot it, and he goes 2 for 6, and he had a great game. He's an elite defender. And Cam Spencer plays the motherfucker role is what Cam Spencer plays. I mean, that's what he plays.
And pardon your French before that.
Didn't need to. Nobody's watching this. It's hard to describe. He's
the white guy that people need to hate, right?
Yeah, he has a similar. It seems like he has a similar personality to his coach. I would say. Except he's right. Dan Hurley played at Seton Hall. I don't think he was as good as Cam Spencer is. So I mean, it's gonna be a good game. Let's talk Purdue for a second. Since I just went over UConn. Purdue, coming off of a year last year where they lost to the 16 seed. Zach Edey apparently only talks to the media about and says things like, "Oh, nobody believed in us," or "We've heard all the noise." Like, dude, does he talk about anything else? Is my question. Seems like that's all I see with him is talking about how people doubted them. Like, okay,
it's true.
Both teams using different styles of motivation. I respect.
That's right. That's right. I don't know if you'd be mad about it.
Not mad is the wrong word. It's just
annoyed.
Does he say anything else? Is my at least Hurley complains about the portal for no reason, but that's neither here nor there. Basically, what Purdue's going to need tonight is for one of their guards to have a huge game, and hope that Edey can score on Clingan or foul trouble. Right?
Yeah. I think the Clingan Edey matchup is going to be pretty good. I know you got that on there for later, but I think that a guy like Mason Gillis probably needs to step up and make some shots. I don't know how much TKR time you can have in this game. So,
do you think Samson Johnson will be able to handle Edey a little bit better than guys his size?
Maybe just because of his length and his athleticism. I mean, people talk about how Edey doesn't foul, and we talked about this a little bit on the Illini one, but Edey, I mean, Clingan is going to be able to go inside, and Edey's going to have to try to disrupt shots. Edey doesn't foul because guys don't go at him, and when they do go at him and he knows he's beat, he steps away. I think he's going to have to play defense against Clingan, and he's going to have to play, solid defense without getting in foul trouble. So, I don't know. Another podcast said that Braden Smith is better than Tristan Newton. Do you agree with that?
Who said that?
Sleepers.
My God, guys, come on! What are you doing? It's not a disrespect to Braden Smith. He's very good. I just think there's so much more that Newton does.
He also said that Edey was going to go for 35 points and Clingan was going to score 6. So That's what
Well,
he thinks of that matchup.
I get what they're doing now. I get it.
Yeah.
Braden Smith, who had 3 points on 1 of 9 shooting and 5 turnovers against NC State. Okay.
Yeah.
Also,
And
Purdue needs Braden Smith to have a big game much more than UConn needs Tristan Newton to have a big game. Tristan Newton also
right.
was probably the best player for UConn in the national championship game last year.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see, where Braden Smith is good is where he comes off that screen. It'll be interesting to see if UConn can disrupt that, make him take tough shots. The thing about him, though, is he will throw up tough shots thinking that Edey's going to rebound it. Can Clingan grab some of those boards from Edey? It's going to be huge, too. So I did look up Braden Smith because everybody said that was his worst game all year. The only other thing I would find comparable was against Tennessee the first time. He had 6 points on 2 of 9 shooting. He went 2 of 6 from the line, 1 assist, 3 turnovers. So they still won that game by 4, though. But,
yeah. He had 3 steals in both of those games, by the way. How about that?
Yeah. And I know he didn't play a lot of minutes, but his numbers against Utah State were very good in the tournament. But
I think Purdue's going to need their 3-point shooters that shoot a high percentage to knock them down.
Yeah, Fletcher Lawyer's going to have to make
Smith,
some. Like I said, Gillis is going to have to make some. I just don't think that they have enough talent to run with UConn. I really
you have to have. History suggests that you need a perimeter pro to win a national championship. Does Purdue have one? I don't think so.
Maybe Braden Smith in 2 years, but Braden Smith now, no.
Braden Smith just screams like that Aaron Kraft elite college point guard in the Big Ten, and just nothing at the next level.
That's true. I mean, yeah, he might be a little too. I don't know how big he is.
He's 6 foot. I mean, that's
6 foot.
that's a problem.
That'd be a problem.
And UConn has Castle, who's probably going to be a top 6, 7 pick at worst.
Yeah.
So this is definitely, if you're a Purdue fan, you wanted to win a national championship. I'm not saying you can't. I have picked them in my bracket.
Yeah.
But this is definitely not the team you want to play. But it would mean a lot more if they won it, I guess. So there's a risk reward. Obviously, you're happy to be here, but you definitely were secretly hoping that you'd play like Alabama or Arizona or North Carolina.
Who's the best team in UConn's unreal run the last 2 years? Who's the best team they've played?
I feel like I'm on the spot quite heavily for that.
Well, this year, I mean, it was probably Alabama.
I think last year it was Alabama.
Yeah.
And remember, Alabama was number 1 overall seed last year.
That's true, yeah.
And this year I would say it's either Alabama or North Carolina. And no disrespect to Creighton either, but I don't know. Either way, they beat that Alabama team by 15 last year. And that was a much better Alabama team. This one was really good, but that one was just way more talented. So it's got to be Alabama, North Carolina, and Creighton, and Gonzaga. Yeah. They played Gonzaga this year.
That's true.
Yeah, Purdue will be the best out of all those. So I don't know how big is the gap between. Like, I feel like UConn's opponents in this year's tournament, except for maybe the second round of the Sweet 16, actually, definitely no. I'm staying on track. They've gone. Their matchups this year have gone in order of good. I think. Like Stetson and Northwestern. San Diego State's better. Illinois is better than San Diego State. Alabama's better than Illinois. Now Purdue. Perfect order. They haven't played they played the 8 seed, they played the 5 seed, they played the 2 seed or the 3 seed, which is pretty much the 2 seed, and they played a 4 seed Alabama team who had tons of talent and was playing really well. A top 15 metrics team. Now you're playing number 2. Purdue, UConn does not seem to have a weakness. The only weakness that I would point out is that they don't force a lot of turnovers, and that's a lot of good teams. So does that really matter? Like the only two things on their KenPom profile that are not green are turnover percentage and non-steal turnover percentage, and the other one is free throw percentage against. Which how do you team shoots 72.5% against them. That what is UConn supposed to do about that?
Yeah.
Give them less chances? I don't know. But yeah, this is I still think the most shocking thing to me about this UConn team is that they have 3 losses. Like, how is it possible for this team to lose a game? They should probably, based on profile and what they look like, they should be like 38-1 right now at worst.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that they lost 2. Of course, they lost 2 in December. You look at they lost at Kansas by 4. If you remember, Stephon Castle did not play in that game. And Tristan Newton was heroic. The only reason they were in it, Cam Spencer was 2 for 12 from the field. Tristan Newton had 31. Could Braden Smith drop 31 at Allen Fieldhouse? I don't know. And then they lost to Seton Hall on December 20th, and that was probably a bit of a wake-up call for them to lose that game. They just got bodied. I don't really know how that happened, but it happened.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else? Perimeter matchups. How do you think they approach the 3-on-3 aspect of this? If you take away TKR and Edey, you take away Caravan and Clingan, you have Newton, Spencer, Castle on the UConn side. You have Smith, Lawyer, Jones on the Purdue side. Matchup-wise, I think it's pretty obvious what UConn will want to do, and it'll be up to Painter to try to make that not work.
Yeah, and I think this is where Purdue has a chance to win the game if their guys can show up and hit shots. I mean, Lance Jones seems to hit big shots in big games all the time, but Fletcher can kind of disappear in games. When he tries to go to the basket, he's not good. He's got to be able to spot up and shoot. And then I think Braden Smith has to have maybe his best game ever for them to have a shot in this. I don't see any other way for them to win this game unless Braden Smith is just on one.
I think the big question for Hurley in this game from a defensive standpoint is there a guy on their perimeter outside of Smith that you like? Stephon Castle's kind of been their throw him at their other team's best player guy.
Yeah.
Like, who do you really want Castle to guard a much smaller Braden Smith?
That's a good question.
I think you have him take Lawyer out of the game.
Yeah.
Lawyer made 3 threes against NC State. If he doesn't make anything and you just have Castle take him out of the game, I think that's great. And you should trust Newton on Smith. Like, Tristan Newton can play.
Can you trust Spencer on Lance Jones, though?
I think that's less of a concern because Lance Jones is not going to be creating his own shots.
That's true.
He's going to be doing similar things to what Cam Spencer does, maybe to a lesser extent in terms of moving on the offensive end. I think, Castle and Newton are going to be very important in this game defensively. And I think you got to have, a plan to not – I don't think you want Edey to get the ball in every possession. I don't think he can either. I think UConn will have – something for them in terms of making it more difficult. But I think the big thing about this game is I don't think either one of these teams has seen the level of what they're facing. Like, right. Purdue hasn't seen a UConn hasn't seen a Purdue. There's nobody even close to these two teams right now, which makes this matchup even better. And it's two coaches who are, to use Brad Underwood's favorite word, elite. It's one coach who has a team that just looks like an absolute machine right now in terms of just winning games so easily. Like, Alabama had it within 2 midway through the second half, and they lose by 14.
Shot lights out and lost by 14.
Shot lights out had no chance, basically. I mean, they shot it 48% from 3 and had no chance.
Yeah. Alabama played very well, but could not hit clutch threes late. Purdue needs to hit those 3-pointers late. Yeah, to have a chance, I would say. UConn is on an 11-0 against the spread in the NCAA tournament. When he beat everybody by 15.
Yeah, it would be a safe bet to bet them here. I mean,
I don't know. 6.5 is a lot to get 7. I think it's up to 7 now.
I don't want to disrespect Purdue's defense either, though. They've been pretty good defensively all year. So
yeah,
but it's going to be really, really hard for them to guard UConn. It's going to be.
How many minutes do you think Clingan plays in this game? He only averages 22 a game. You think he plays 30 in this?
Yeah. He played 31 against Marquette in the Big East Tournament Championship. He played 29 against Alabama. UConn should thank Illinois and San Diego State for not competing with them because he played less than 25 in both.
That's true.
He did have 3 fouls against San Diego State. They've managed him pretty well. Like he hasn't touched 30 in the tournament yet. So
Yeah.
I think you do it. Yeah, this is probably the last game of his college career. If he goes to the NBA, do it. And one thing is like Zach Edey's been really, really elite around the rim this year. He's a 62%, 62.5% 2-point percentage shooter, which is 109th in the country. Clingan's been even better. Clingan is 65% from 2. So the footwork's going to be a big part of this here. Clingan's got it. I don't know about Edey. Edey's body is just.
Can Edey get Clingan in foul trouble?
I think yes, but
yeah,
I don't know. It depends on how this game is officiated. Do we know the crew for the game?
I haven't looked.
Is Heine's
no shot?
He's there, isn't he?
Maybe.
It's gonna be what's his face?
See him anywhere?
Roger Ayers is always in there, right?
Sure.
They already announced the assignment. I just can't find it.
Spreads up to 7.5. No, it opened at 7.5, down to 6.5. Never mind. Take that.
Terry Oglesby, Roger Ayers, and
Heinies.
Yep, those are the 3.
I need some Twitter time. Get them all over Twitter. Heinies and.
That's big news there. That's big news. By the way, none of those 3 guys did a game on Saturday. So
how many travel calls do we get out of Heinies tonight?
I'll set the number at 3.5, and I'll say we go over.
Yeah.
I think we can get to 4. I think we can do it. All right. Which team's bench will have a greater impact? If you look at the bench numbers, bench minutes for UConn, 28.6%. That's 232nd in the country. And then Purdue is 27.5%. That's 255th in the country. And we know the bench players that are going to be used. For UConn, it's going to be Hassan Diarra. It's going to be Samson Johnson. And you might see a little bit of Jalen Stewart in the game as well. And then for Purdue, it's going to be Mason Gillis. It's going to be Miles Colvin probably.
Yeah.
And,
do you think we see
Camden
First
Heidi.
or Heidi?
We'll see Heidi. I don't think we'll see
First. Yeah.
I mean, Heidi played quite a bit in the first 3 tournament games, first 4 double-digit minutes, but not in the last game. He's a good 3-point shooter, though. If you need somebody to make a 3, he's shooting 45%. I don't think we'll see Morton or First.
Yeah.
We won't see. But either way, 2 of those 3 guys are named off the bench for both teams are freshmen, I believe. So, or one of them. Or 1 for UConn, 2 of them are freshmen for Purdue. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'll keep saying it. I think that Purdue has to have impact where they don't expect it. And
have we considered the idea that UConn might just throw a stinker tonight?
I have a hard time believing that, but
I don't think we've considered it. I think everybody just thinks UConn's going to win, and I think that might be troubling. Even though we've done it, everybody's thought UConn's going to win this whole time, and they just keep winning easily. I don't know.
You know who is not telling his team that right now? Dan Hurley. So I think you have to worry.
Dan Hurley is saying, "Have you seen what they've been saying about us, guys?"
Yeah. Did you see that? I'm going to Kentucky. Like how? Like that. If it's not UConn against the world, like Purdue wants to say us against the world, whatever. Like UConn, their plane got delayed. Their coach is now in every conversation of he's going to Kentucky the day of the national championship. Like, what's
so you're saying UConn's going to win 97-50?
No, I'm saying UConn wins 78-73.
I'm gonna go 80-75. Purdue.
So both 5-point games. So we think.
Yeah, give me the Boilermakers. Yeah, I don't want them to win, but I picked in my bracket. I feel like it's the right thing to do.
Wow, I guess I didn't hear you say Purdue. You just picked Purdue.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Give me UConn 80-75. I picked both teams. How about that? I want UConn to win though. I will admit
I know you want UConn to win.
And I'll tell you
what's it do for your bracket? Like, what are you sitting in first place somewhere? Or?
Yeah, I have Purdue in both of my brackets that are in groups. So
But are you winning? Does it matter?
I was
Are
in
you
second
making
last
money?
time I checked ours. No, well, ours is like a fake thing.
Ours
so-
doesn't matter. I'm asking about real ones.
Oh, I don't know where my other. I had another bracket that was in it. I don't know what I did with that bracket. I don't know what happened, but it's just it's more like the being right thing is cool. I'm
Yeah.
first in ours, by the
Well,
way.
I have Purdue, UConn in both of mine that I have money in, and I have Purdue 1-1 and UConn 1-1. I'm in first place in the UConn one, currently in third. It looks like in the Edgewood one. So if Purdue
Take a look at
wins,
this.
whoever wins, I win money. It doesn't really matter to me. Who's that? You?
This is our bracket challenge. Look at number 7 here. Tough day for him, huh? I'm ahead of him by quite a bit.
I gotta look at this. Hold on. I can't see it. It's too small.
98.1% for me.
You're winning that?
Yeah.
Sweet. So we don't have to give a prize to anybody?
Well, if UConn wins, I probably won't win.
Oh. Let's see. I'm in 13th.
Yeah, I mean, all you guys who picked Illinois, yikes. Who had the worst national championship pick? Let's see here. Ooh, Marquette.
Arizona,
Yikes.
Auburn. Marquette.
Auburn's probably the worst just because they lost in the first round, but I would say Marquette might be the most puzzling going into it. I'm gonna go 80. I'm gonna go UConn 80-75. Official.
UConn.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can't believe you're winning this thing.
So I can clip either
What a loser.
Either of my predictions. I can clip and throw it out there as if I was right because I already picked Purdue earlier. Now I picked.
That's smart. You're smart. I hate the setup of ESPN's bracket, by the way.
Should use a different one.
Yeah, I probably should have. But
depending on how the game goes tonight, I think we'll be back for 5 minutes when it's over. We've done that like 3 years in a row. It's always like, oh, let's talk about the game. And then it lasts like 5 minutes, then it's over. But we'll do it. Last year we watched the game on playback. Too bad that's not a thing anymore. That would have been fun for this one. But what can you do? I'm checking to see how long our last year's stream was after the national championship game. It was 32 minutes. Really? What the hell was I talking? Oh, that was a preview. It's 20 minutes. Still
Afterwards.
20 minutes. Yeah. 20 minutes after we talked about what the hell was I talking
I don't
about?
know.
And then
Man.
here's the one I remember. Kansas, when Kansas beat North Carolina, it was 12 minutes. That's what I remember. So, and then we did 11 minutes for Baylor Gonzaga.
We should probably just go live on the Illinois one. And
yeah, probably. I'm going to say we get 15 out of it tonight. Maybe we will. Maybe we should just do that. Nobody's watching this anyway. What's the point? Why don't we just go live in the Illini channel and we can have people come after us about Jace Butler and the coaching and Underwood to Kentucky. No, not happening. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. All right. Well, before we go back to Kentucky, who do you think they're going to hire?
I will go with. I like Billy Donovan. Bring him back. Go. That's what I'd like to see. I'll say that.
What do you think is the most chaotic scenario? Probably Nate Oates, right?
I would say Nate Oates or Scott Drew.
Or Bruce Pearl to a lesser extent, just because it would be in conference.
Yeah.
But the thing about Oates is that they just came off a Final Four appearance, and Alabama's a big job.
I just think, I just think any of the all three of those are pretty big jobs.
UConn is UConn is the most Hurley is the most but that's not happening.
I don't think there's any chance.
You got to be on a different planet to think that's happening. It's more likely that they hire. I would say it's more likely they hire Brad Underwood than Dan Hurley. Like, what would entice Hurley to leave UConn other than money?
No reason to.
Kentucky give him more money. That's
I'm pretty sure that he's going to negotiate a new contract after the season.
Clearly.
He's up for a negotiation. So I think that he'll be making plenty of money.
He signed a 6-year deal last year. He signed a 6-year deal last year. Yeah.
I don't know where I saw that he had a new deal coming, but
he's going to renegotiate. I mean, he has to again.
Well, I mean, all this did was give him more money because he'd be like, "Well, boys, might head to Kentucky."
So He's making $5.35 a year right now at UConn. Kentucky would probably offer what, like, well, what was Calipari making?
I think like 9.
8.5.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Yeah, 8.5. Yeah. Which is, I think that's a little less than Arkansas gave him, I think. So
yeah,
I mean,
Arkansas's is kind of weird though. It's like, if we want to give you more money, we will.
Yeah. So what?
You want to go do a commercial shoot for us for our chicken nuggets? We'll throw you a little bit more money. Like, that's kind of what it sounds like there.
UConn, I think the buyout for Hurley is 7.5.
It's easy, light work.
I mean, what do you offer Hurley to make him say no? Like 10 million? Like, do you want to get really insane?
It would have to be, I would think.
Who's the highest paid coach right now? Bill Self, right? It's got to be. I wish I knew all this information off the top of my head. It'd make me look a lot smarter. Calipari was the highest paid coach.
Yeah.
As of November 2023. Yeah. I mean, Bill Self makes 5.96. Are you really going to have – that can't be right. Okay, never mind. This list sucks. Bill Self's making 9.6. I was going to say. Bill Self is the highest paid. It goes Self, Calipari, Izzo, Pearl, Barnes, Drew, Hurley, Underwood. Funny. Sampson, Oates, top 10 highest paid as of March 2024. It's going to be updated again in October. So, yeah, do you say we'll make you higher paid than Bill Self, and we'll give you all the resources you need to recruit? And yeah, it's the only way, I think.
Yeah.
You know, Matt Painter makes less money per year than Greg Gard. I think that's probably going to change.
Yeah. Maybe he's the one renegotiating this year.
Andy Enfield also made more money at USC than Painter is now. So,
yeah.
Painter's
getting paid.
Yeah, Painter is like he's a Purdue guy. Like, that's never going to change. He's never leaving Purdue. All right, we'll be back after the game tonight for 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes, depending on the chat. We'll probably be on the Illini Basketball Podcast channel, so you can check that out. I got UConn winning by 5. I also have Purdue winning by 5, and we'll see everybody later.